I will address this now because I just got home and I am pissed that someone made a Banshee video and can only think about using Banshee as a tank absorbing damage that also increases the damage they deal, or a straight up glass cannon. So here's your explanation. The Warframe Banshee is designed to isolate enemies and take them out one by one, or isolate enemies and literally take them out one after the other really fast. Let me explain. Banshee's passive ability: weapon noises are hushed so that enemies cannot hear them. That is a big deal. That is a very, very big deal. Do you want to know why? The answer is simple. You do not have to worry about enemies swarming you. Again, you don't have to worry about enemies swarming you. Let me go over here. Ignore all these mods. I'm not using these mods. It was from a long time ago. Do you see her armor? Do you see her armor? If you see her armor, I need you to understand something, okay? Listen carefully. Listen. You are not meant to take damage, okay? You are not designed to take damage. Now, nothing stops you from doing it, but I really, really need you to understand. The Warframe Banshee was never designed to soak up damage. That is why she doesn't have iron skin like Rhino. That is why she doesn't have damage reduction like Mirage or Neza. The same way the Warframe Wisp was never meant to take a whole bunch of damage, although you can design her to do that very easily. Especially with her motes. Someone's gonna say, Wisp was designed to take damage because of... No. She was designed to survive hits now and then, okay? It's just that the players found a way, which wasn't really hard to find, but still, credit due where it's due. Players found a way to make Wisp tank and soak up damage. It's that simple. But looking at the bare kit, looking at the design of the Warframes before power creep spirals out of control, Banshee is designed to literally isolate enemies and kill them without them noticing you're there. So the passive is not out of date. As a matter of fact, let me show you what pissed me off, so you can understand why I'm saying all of this. The passive is not out of date. The passive is not out of date. It is still effective. I repeat, the passive ability is still effective. It's just that 99.9% of you want to run and gun every 5 seconds. I've spent like a good 3 minutes going over the passive ability and restating or repeating or rephrasing the same point because I need to get that across. Okay? There are more guns than the X-Ultra. There are more guns than literally put whatever weapon you want that people say is OP. Okay? And don't get me wrong, it's fine if you have it. There's no hate. Okay? If you have an OP weapon, that's completely fine. But at the end of the day, everybody doesn't have that. And here's the crazy part. Even though everybody doesn't have that, all of those people can still achieve the same success as you, or they can actually come close if they play the game well enough. Meaning they have good enough skills playing the game instead of just waving in a direction and wiping everything out. Oh, I'm not done yet. Sonic Boom, I'm not going to lie to you. You can say this ability is complete trash. Just understand that if you hit somebody with Sonic Boom and they're under the effects of your silence, you can effectively reset their enemy behavior because they're knocked down, and when they get up, they don't see you if you run around a corner or something. Because when silence is active, and I'm going to get to silence later on in greater detail, but I need to say something about silence right now so that you can understand that silence is actually related to Sonic Boom. When silence is active, the enemies are unable to hear you or each other, And the enemies have a very short attention span whenever they cannot see you, okay? So don't expect the enemies to continue to run towards you when they're inside of the radius of your silence. Do not expect that to happen. Expect them to run a short distance where they last saw you, look around a bit, and then go back to minding their own business. That is powerful, okay? You use that when you want to punch above your weight class. Here's a great example. Let's say somebody just finished their star chart, okay? One moment real quick. One moment. Let's say somebody just finished this entire star chart. Now, for me, it's a little bit different because I completed my star chart before the Zariman, so on and so forth, was a thing. And so as a result, I have arbitrations unlocked. As of right now, I don't know what the requirements are to unlock arbitration because I heard that the developers made it easier, and that's completely fine. But again, let's say somebody just finishing their star chart encounters Steel Path for the first time. And they can't take out everybody because they don't have everything. Guess what? This is the lifesaver. It is a lifesaver. All you got to do is break contact with them. Break eye contact. Sonic boom. Break eye contact. Sonic boom. Sonic boom. Sonic boom. It knocks them down and gives you a chance to run away. Also, there is the augment Sonic Fracture. Here we go. Sonic Fracture. It reduces their armor. And this is a permanent reduction of their armor by the base value. They don't tell you a lot of things in this game, and unfortunately, I don't work for that company, because if I did work for that company, I would be rewording everything in this game so you can understand. I would tell you this is serration. I would tell you this is serration for melee weapons, meaning it would be pressure point, which is still serration. At the end of the day, I would say base damage. I would say base damage so you can understand, okay? But I don't work at the company, and I doubt they're going to care enough to listen to me. So I will have to explain this thoroughly every time I upload a video, which is very tedious and gets on my nerves. But I digress. It reduces... my bad. Sonic Fracture reduces their base armor by 70%. That means that their armor is permanently gone. And this isn't multiplicative where it's 70% of the current value and then 70% of whatever's left. No, it's 70% of the total base value. Meaning that the next time you reduce their armor, it's going to reduce their armor by the total amount of what they actually had. So if they had 30% left because of this, the second time it's going to reduce 70% of the total amount, which means they're at negative 40, but you can't get a negative 40 amount of armor in this game, so it just goes down to 0. Another way to word this, if this was 50% instead of 70, and you hit them twice with this, all their armor is gone forever. End of story. Now, continuing on, sonar. Now, this is what you got to understand. It doesn't show you enemy positions as far as the radius itself goes, okay? It would be amazing, but they don't do that. So, for all intents and purposes, to make this simple, it doesn't show the positions of enemies on your minimap, okay? It doesn't show positions of enemies on your minimap. It does a little bit, but again, to keep it simple. However, when an enemy within the entire 92.75 meters you see because of my mods is hit by this, a portion of their body will be highlighted. Now, again, this is kind of iffy because of the wiki and because of any changes the developers can make. So I'm going to say this as if everything is working perfectly normal, okay? If any part of their arm, let me be specific. If any part of their right arm is highlighted, it could be the right finger, the right shoulder, the right elbow, the right muscle, you know, maybe the right wrist. The entire right arm counts as bonus damage. Not a weak point, the way you know of weak points with the mod primary acuity, so on and so forth, but it's basically a damage multiplier. I'm gonna just say it bluntly and as easy as possible. It's a damage multiplier, okay? It's a weak spot, not a weak point, a weak spot. Now, if you were to highlight any part of their head or any part of their chest or any part of their left leg or right leg, the entire head or the entire chest or the entire left leg or the entire right leg is going to be affected by the damage multiplier. Here is where it gets nasty. Here is where it gets really, really, really nasty, okay? If the same body part is highlighted multiple times, the damage is multiplied. Not additively multiplied, I mean just straight up multiplied. So there's a 2 times multiplier, and the right arm is marked twice, that becomes 4 times. The right arm is marked 3 times, that's 8 times. So the damage multiplier is going to be the actual multiplier you see by the power of the number of marks on the same body part. Let me say that a better way. I took off overextended, so now we have a 5-time multiplier. If I have marked their torso 5 times with this 5-time damage multiplier from a sonar at 100% strength, I need you to understand something, okay? That's 5 by the power of 5. So it's 5 times 5, which is 25, times 5, which is 125, times 5, which is 625. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, one more time. Times 5, which is 3,125. Okay? So if you manage to mark someone 6 times, you're dealing 3,125, 5 times on the same body part, you're dealing 3,125 times the damage before the body part multiplier comes in. And before the headshot multiplier, which is, you know, a body part, but I'm making note of the headshot multiplier separately because it's usually higher. And this is before the weak point multiplier. For those of you who don't understand, if you have a basic enemy like a Rainier or a Corpus that has an actual head, whether or not their helmet is on or not, their head is a body part. And then after the game multiplies the damage by the headshot, which is a body part, it multiplies the damage again by the weak spot, which can also be the head. So it works just like sonar, except you don't have the mod on and the game is just multiplying the damage by the individual value of the head, which can vary on the enemy, and the individual value of the weak point multiplier, which can also again vary on the enemy. And that's one of the reasons why the mod, let me really let you know real quick. It's one of the reasons why this mod is so disgusting. I'm being dead serious. Ignore longbow sharp shot. This mod by itself is disgusting. So it says plus 350% weak point damage. That means a weak point with a 3 times multiplier is going to be increased by 350%. So if the 3 times multiplier of that weak point is the normal value, that's 100%. And then you got to add plus 350%. That means you are dealing 450% weak point damage. That's how nasty it gets. Okay? You're not just outright multiplying it by 3 times. No. So if 3 times is the normal value, which is 100%, primary acuity says you're going to be adding 350%. So 3 is going to be multiplied by 300%, which is 9, which still has an extra 50%. So we got to multiply 3 by 50, which is 1.5. So add the 300% to the 50%, or add the 9 with the 1.5, that's 10.5. And when you're done, add that 10.5 back into 3. Let me show you the mathematical calculation. Because the game doesn't tell you this is how this works half the time, right? People just assume it's 3 times. No. It's crazier. It's crazier, okay? So if it was 3 times 3.5, It's 10.5. On the other hand, it can be 3. Let me actually do it like this. 3 times 100% plus 3 times 3.5, which is literally 350%. It should be 13.5. Do you see how big that difference is? Do you see how nasty that is? This is before the crit multiplier is factored in. So yeah, on top of the headshot, no, this is how disgusting the mod is. This is how putrid and ugly this mod is. Before you add in the crit multiplier from a critical strike, before you even add in the critical tier, which increases that multiplier again, like before you even add in a lot of things, you're dealing 13.5% damage with this mod on a normal head with a 3 times headshot multiplier. Keeping in mind that the head is also the weak point. So you have to multiply that. It's disgusting. This is before you even have Amalgam Daikyu target acquired, which increases your headshot multiplier by 75%. So 3 by 75% is 2.25. I am so sorry. I'm really tripping so hard. I'm still tripping so hard. So again, 350% equals 3.5. Like, that's why I put 3.5 there. If I were to do the same equation, where you would have 3 times 100% plus 3 times 350%, it's going to be 13.5. Because when you put a percent sign, you're moving the decimal from the end of the number 2 times to the right. So that 350% becomes 3.5. And you take away the 0 because you have the whole thing with significant numbers. It's a long thing. But in the meantime, while I'm here, 3.5 times 3 is 40 times damage. But wait. You gotta add 2.5 to 3, so it's 5.25. 3 plus 2.25 is 5.25. Now watch this. We're gonna go back to 13.5 times 5.25. You understand how stupid that is, right? Like, genuinely, you understand how stupid that is, right? You're hit on the head of an enemy with a 3 times headshot multiplier and a 3 times weak point multiplier, because the weak point and the head are overlapped, is dealing 70.85 times the damage with primary acuity and Amalgam Daikyu target acquired, or any other type of headshot multiplier that equals plus 75%. I'm not done yet. We haven't even added in the crit. 3.2. Right? A tier 2 crit is... I'm not even going to bother with that. Point is, I believe tier 2 should be 6.4 because you're multiplying the crit damage by the crit chance, and because the crit chance can only be applied in multiples of 100, if you were to have a 134% crit chance, you have a 100% chance to land on 100, but you have a 34% chance to land on 200. Remember, 200% equals 2. So you're going to be multiplying the 3.2 by the 2. As I just butchered that, you're going to be multiplying 3.2 by the 2. Oh, there we go. Or you're going to be multiplying the 3.2 by the 200. You know what? I'll take it. 200% times 3.2 is 6.4. But wait. Let's say you have Banshee, right? Let's say you have Banshee. And you overlap 2 5 times, right? And then you got to multiply this by 2477.6. 100,000, 28,095,984. Let's say the enemy has 91% damage reduction, right? My bad. I gotta make that 0.9. My bad. I keep butchering this so much. That means you're only dealing 9% damage. So you're dealing 2,528,638. So if you ever fight a Grineer and you're wondering how you're still doing so much damage in the millions, it's literally because that Grineer has more effective health. You're just doing that sheer amount of damage. You're just doing that sheer amount of damage, and I'm literally doing damage like this, so I can understand that. But remember, you know, the Grineer have like, I think they're capped at 2,700. Oh, hold on. Is it? No, I think it might be 5,400 armor cap, right? Enemy armor is hard capped at 2,700, giving them 90% damage reduction. Problem is on Steel Path, it's plus 100%. For those of you wondering why it's a 90% reduction, it's because this graph is logarithmic, and the reason why that's a big deal is specifically because, going back up here, I mean, this is the inverse, because this is a logarithmic, which is like an inverse of an exponent, and then at the same time, this is linear, which makes more sense. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is open a new window. There we go. Zoom in. I'm doing all this just to explain Banshee. Open a new window. Click on that. So when this says relative effective health, replace the word effective with bonus, okay? Replace the word effective with bonus, and this is going to make a lot more sense. This is going to make a whole lot more sense, okay? Now, if you have 0 armor, you have 0 relative bonus health, okay? That means the health you have is just the health you have. Let me repeat this one more time to make sure we can all understand where I'm starting off. If you have 0 armor, then you have 0% relative bonus health. That means the health you have is what you have. On the other hand, if you have 0 armor, you have 100% of the damage coming through. Another way to say this is you have 0% damage reduction. Okay? Let me see if these hoes. Let me see if these hoes actually have that graph here. I think I saw it down here. Do these hoes have what I'm looking for? The hoes are the people who are in charge of running this. You know what? Anyway, back to what I was doing before. Now, if you have 300 armor, remember the number 300. The number 300 is very, very special. If you have 300 armor, okay, you have 100% effective bonus health. In other words, at 300 armor, you're taking 50% damage reduction. Another way to put this, at 300 armor, you're only taking 50% of the damage. You're probably wondering, why do I say damage reduction and compare it with taking effective damage? Okay, let me go ahead and show you real fast. I'm gonna go ahead and do that because you ain't got no business looking at my files, which I have no way to hide here. So I said 300%. I'm tripping so hard. Is 1 divided by 2. Now let's say we have 600 armor, right? 200% bonus health. Right? .6 repeated. You're going to be seeing a pattern, okay? $900. For those of you who see it, you see it. For those of you who don't, just give it some time real quick. You're going to find it. You know what? I'm gonna just do this. Just to make sure this is all lined up all nice and pretty, right? All nice and pretty! 3 divided by 4. You probably see the pattern now, don't you? That's better. As you can probably guess, this is 4 over 3. Not bad. This is 4 over 5. And this should be 1 over 5. This should be 1 over 4. That should be 1 over 3. So, to make this make sense, you are adding effective health, which is the exact same thing as dividing the damage you take by a fraction, all right? Which is also reducing the damage you take down to a fraction. So in the case where you're just adding health, you're just adding a health bar upon a health bar upon a health bar. On the other hand, when you are reducing the damage you take, you are dividing the damage by a value equal to a number that is one less. So in this case, 50% is 2 divided by 1. 1 is 1 less than 2. 66% reduction is 2 divided by 3. 2 is 1 less than 3. For 75% reduction, the numerator, 3, is 1 less than the denominator, 4. The numerator is the number you have. The denominator is the number that you're dividing the numerator by. This is division. And then, of course, you're going down here, 4, 5, which is 4 divided by 5 in this scenario, is literally 80%. And the damage you're taking is going to be an inverse of that fraction. Well, not exactly an inverse. It's going to be the remaining amount of that fraction that you need to turn that fraction into a whole number. Because 66% is 0.66, 33% is 0.33, 75% is 0.75, 25% is 0.25. And so if you need to equal the number 1, which is a very special number in these scenarios, you got to actually fill up the rest of that space. So now that I got that point through, yes, this video made me very angry. It made me very, very angry, right? That's all I need to do in order to explain how nasty sonar is. And this is before you even remove their armor, which is basically removing someone's armor is effectively multiplying your damage in the story. But and this is before even viral status effect. There's a lot of ways to make damage. There's a lot of ways to do damage. There's a lot of ways to create damage before you even add in arcanes and other stuff. Silence. It disables all special abilities. No grenades, no auras from Eximus units, even if they have Overguard. There is no shields from the Defender units. There are no little grenade drops from the Ospreys that drop grenades. There's no Ospreys kamikazing. If you catch, this is something I learned too, if you manage to catch a MOA that's about to stomp and you hit silence, they're stuck like that. Granted, I deal with Equinox that had put them to sleep, I believe. No, that had slow them. It's another thing. Point is, you can literally freeze their AI because they don't know what to do. Because whatever they're supposed to do, they can't do. And now that they can't do it, they don't know what to do. So there's a null value or a value that's unusable. So now when that value is unusable, whenever they can go back and do their special abilities, they don't have the Q to be able to use their special abilities because the value isn't even there. It's really crazy. Again, you can make enemies forget you're there if you manage to run away fast enough. This is really, really nasty. This is really nasty. It's disgusting. This one ability is combine it with them not being able to know you're there. Combine it with literally being able to multiply your damage. Combine it with literally, and I do mean literally, shutting off their ability to just fight back effectively. Oh yeah, it gets real nasty real quick. And they can't hear your teammates if they're inside this aura, by the way. This isn't even mentioning Savage Silence. One moment. No! I feel betrayed. I feel betrayed. But yeah, Savage Silence basically gives you plus 300 damage on your. In other words, your finishers do 4 times damage. How do I know your finishers do 4 times damage? Gain plus 300 damage. In the game, when you activate this, it literally says 4 times damage. Literally, that's what it says. So yes, this is how it works. This is how they work the game most of the time. Like, this is crazy. Oh, and the last one, you're probably gonna ask me what I got to say about this. What is the enemy doing while you're stun locking them? No, really, like, really. What is the enemy doing while you're stun locking them? Like, a lot of you are running around, Banshee damage, Banshee damage, Banshee doesn't take enough so she can do more damage. Bro, you have an aura that lets your teammates go through an entire level basically undetected. Meaning that you don't have to worry about enemies mowing down your team, so on and so forth. You also got sonar, right? And then the augment resonance. So now you can have sonar follow you through the entire level. Okay? Sonar can effectively follow you through the entire level because you can keep reactivating it on the enemies you keep finding, right? And if things get sticky, you can push them away from your team. So if you look at Banshee less as like a solo dolo wipe everything out, which you can do, you know, if you're skilled enough, you can do it, right? If you stop looking at Banshee as like a solo dolo wipe everything out, and you look at her for what she is, this is a disgusting support. It's a disgusting support. It is an absolutely disgusting support champion. Oh my gosh. Yes, that was the League of Legends. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. May I be forgiven. But point is, it's a disgusting support Warframe. It's a disgusting support. Literally. Oh, you don't think it's a support? Okay. I need to actually have some more slots for myself. I'll get to that later. But Trinity's armor. It's ironically the same exact value, which I find funny. No. Remember, you don't think that Banshee is a support? Or better yet, you know, I can understand people saying she's not a support. Cool, there are different playstyles. But you don't think that Banshee can fit a support role? Okay, hold on real quick. My bad. There we go. Look at that armor. It's abysmal. Maybe Wisp isn't meant to be out there. I mean, you can do it, of course. You know, the kid is very versatile, but still, like, maybe that wasn't like the original design intention. You can buff yourself for sure, but like Wisp by herself, without you doing any crazy modifications, that health is better on a tank. The shock mode is better on someone who's going to run around and be in the front lines. It's not the only way you can do it, of course, but I'm just saying, like, without doing crazy stuff, which is perfectly fine, because it's really cool, fun, interesting, and very skillful to, like, use Warframes in ways they're not intended. But just looking at the Warframe at bare bones, how much you want to bet that this is meant to be a support? I'm not done yet. Now imagine a support Warframe like Trinity, right? Because this is what you're doing with Banshee. Imagine Trinity. But people are saying, oh my gosh, her Link does so little damage. She needs to have her Link buffed, and then all of a sudden, you know, her Link does actual damage actively instead of passively. And some other crazy stuff, right? So whatever the support role she was designed for or intended to be is just completely gone. The identity of this Warframe is gone and changed into something else. Honestly. Like that's what you're asking to be done. All because you want to run around and nuke with everything. Bro, part of the reason why this game was fun to me back in the day was because you actually needed different roles. You know, you didn't always have to do it. You know, it wasn't necessary to have different roles to win. It would have been more challenging if you were all support, if you were all glass cannons. But like, one Warframe couldn't do everything. You know, one Warframe didn't have damage reduction all the time. Like, there were weaknesses. There were weaknesses. There were reasons to have different Warframes. Again, if all of you walked in there with Banshee, if all of you walked in with Excalibur, whatever, cool, it's fun. But at the end of the day, though, there were identities for these Warframes. Now, guess what? Really, guess what? My bad. You know, I'll go here. Nuke, Okay, you surprisingly don't nuke. You can nuke if you want to. I'ma still knock you off just to make this somewhat more fair. Nuke. Yes, nuke. You don't nuke surprisingly. You can nuke, but I'ma still knock you off. Yeah, it's a nuke. It's raw damage. Overwhelming damage is a nuke. Yeah, your ultimate. Just wave around. Yeah, yes, but you know we finally leave it alone. Nuke, 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 nuke. I want to count this so badly, but I'll leave it alone. And keep in mind, all these other Warframes I'm not even touching, guess what? Nobody uses them as often, right? Nobody uses them as often. I'm not going to count it just because it technically is, because you affect... I'm going to leave it alone. Nuke. I'm counting her for. Again, how many people use Limbo? How many use Loki? How many use Kome? How many use all these frames that don't nuke? Do you see the problem? Fun fact, you can actually use Harrow to go through an entire level undetected. I really just want to point that out. Like, you can go through an entire level with Harrow undetected. I'm being dead serious. Like that's an actual thing. But nobody would know because of obvious reasons. Nuke, kind of, sort of. It depends if you want to count that ultimate where it slows everything. I'll leave it alone. But again, you know, not a lot of people use these Warframes that don't nuke. Do you see the problem here? Do you see the problem, right? Yeah, people use Sarin. People use Sarn all the time. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm gonna just say Sarn. Like, there's a lot of other Warframes I don't have. I don't care. I really don't care. Like, it really, I'm not about to go out my way to go get them. The Augment, a massive, gigantic shockwave that does ridiculous damage that decreases as the radius decreases. Let me hold on real quick. Let me check my dinner. As the stove was not turned on the entire time. Ouch, I felt that. Like, really, people? You are mad that she doesn't do 50,000 damage per tick. Have you ever thought it's not designed to do that? Have you ever thought it's not designed to do that? Just asking some basic questions. Try Banshee as a support Warframe, because I know one thing. Back when they had those Marks of Valiance where you were being overwhelmed by a Eximus units, oh, this silence basically made the entire mission easy. Especially with my teammates running around, getting everyone's aggro, and then when the aggro started, the fire waves and the fire blast started, which ended up taking me down over and over and over. I put on silence, all that ended. Like, all that just stopped. Oh, for those of you who were playing back in the day, before they put grenade markers, right? Before arbitrations had 5-round defense waves, and 3-round defense waves. Oh, for those of you who don't know, arbitration defense literally used to be 10 waves. I'm not joking with you. Let me repeat what I just said. Back in the day, you would literally have to wait 10 waves before you get a single reward. Imagine how it feels to go through 10 entire waves, which I believe were even larger than what we have today, but 10 entire waves, right? Only to get a mod. Imagine that. Only to get a mod instead of Endo or a Sculpture, which is what everybody wanted. The developers know what they're doing to just rob you of what you want. The devs know. That's why you have a lot of useless stuff. It's so you have to keep playing to get more and then sell it. There's a reason behind it, okay? But yeah, and then you had to go through 2 interception waves. 2. Then you had to rescue 2 defection people. 2. Okay? If you were to go nowadays and apply the same logic, mirror defense would require 4 rounds instead of 2. So yeah, I'm coming from a different era where efficiency was like the best thing ever. Like surviving was the best thing ever, because back then, if you got knocked down, that was it. You were just sitting there for the rest of the mission doing absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, if you all got knocked down, you left that mission with nothing. Nothing. Nowadays, you keep your Vitus that you earned from the mission checkpoints, right? You keep the endo and you keep the sculptures you earn from the checkpoints, but back in the day, no, you got nothing. So yeah, I played this game differently. Not only that, but people nowadays have it easier, which is fine, but they don't even look around to revive their teammates if they go down. They don't really revive you all the time, which, I mean, all the time I can understand, but even most, like 75% of the time, they don't even stop to revive you. They don't. They don't do that. So why would I play this game knowing I can get taken down by something like a Venomous Eximus? A Venomous Charger Eximus that does over 500 damage to your health per tick before you escape the aura by taking down that Eximus or escaping it by jumping up or whatever, and you still have to go through all those ticks. They will do 2,000 damage to you when everything is said and done. Why would I literally try to make a Warframe that doesn't have armor like that in the first place play that way, when either A, I don't have all that available to me, or B, there are just more efficient ways to handle the situation? Again, if you do it, that's perfectly fine, but like, there is a lot more to do than just sit there and soak damage like, oh, look how strong I am. I'm going to be sitting somewhere across the entire map just poking you down, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I will just do that. It's less hassle for me. Not only that, but I don't want the enemies running around, you know, chucking and diving and swaying their heads 5 seconds. I want headshots. That's what I want. Because it's the most effective way. It's the most cost effective, whatever. Maybe if you have Ember or something that's cool, whatever, fine. A Volt with this ultimate, cool, whatever, fine. But other than that, though, no. Like, it is cost effective for me just to go through one by one. And if you are alerted and you're running around, dodging your head with all these janky hitboxes, no, I'm not about to do that. Like, the Warframe is good. You just have a skill issue, to be honest. And I hate to say that. It's a skill issue. Now, for those of you who have, like, arthritis, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the power-hungry people who just don't have anything better to do than just want a Warframe to be just click and do. No, like there is stuff you can do. There's a lot you can do with this. Like, learn to put projectile speed on your projectile weapons. Okay? Like, for real. I don't have to worry about the enemies being alerted. I can just do this myself. You probably don't experience the same problems I do because you play with teams all the time, but when you play by yourself, and you don't have all the platinum in the world, I know I got like 4+K. Hey, bro, look, all I gotta say is trading is hilarious, especially when you have stuff people want on time. But aside from that, right, at the end of the day, when you are a player that's just playing the game, the basics do a lot for you. And not only that, but the basics don't require you to spend platinum, spend money, or go through a whole bunch of grinding. So that's the end of the video. Like, there's a lot Banshee does if you learn to do something other than walk out into the open, asking for everyone's attention, and then trying to smoke them down one by one or in groups while still taking damage. No, absolutely not. Also, if you're a new player, get yourself fast deflection. You're going to be getting this almost all the time, but get yourself fast deflection. It's going to save you a lot. It's going to save you a whole bunch. Trust me. It's going to save you a lot. Okay. Learn to like dodge roll behind cover or run or jump behind cover every once in a while. You'll be good. And if things get really, really sticky, go ahead and pop out Vigilante Vigor with Fast Deflection. I know someone's going to ask, why do I have Fast Deflection and Vigilante Vigor? Let me show you why. So you see these two intensifies, right? This is 6 skill points. This is 5. 6.25 with 25%. 6.5 with a 30%. I would much rather just keep the extra skill point and have a little bit less damage. That's part of the reason why these mods are oddly capped. Not evenly capped, oddly capped. Notice how the primed mods, right? Notice how all the primed mods are even. That's just so they don't take an extra point. The non-prime mods usually don't have an even number. Usually. These are corrupted mods, so they're a little bit special. But aside from the corrupted mods, energy conversion, odd. Health conversion, odd. Quick thinking, odd. Constitution, odd. Master Thief, odd. 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 It's a corrupted mod, but still odd, right? Odd. Odd. There's a reason. There's a reason. Not all of them are like that, but there's a reason most of them are. You're better off just like slightly reducing the rank and keeping that extra point, especially if you are a new player, especially if you don't have an Orokin Reactor or an Orokin Catalyst, especially if you don't have a whole bunch of stuff. Like, just hold back a little bit to keep your points, especially if you don't even have Forma, too. Just don't worry about it. Either way, that's about it. Thank you. See you. Have a good day. Bye. The slander needs to stop with a lot of Warframes. The slander has to stop. Like, really, it has to stop. Oh, and for those of you wondering, no, I don't even use Banshee that often. As a matter of fact, my most used Warframe is Kite 9. How much more is Kite 9 used? I've been using Excalibur for like multiple years. You could say 8 years. Maybe not this Excalibur, but the other Excaliburs, right? Like Umbra, so on and so forth. 8 years. In a span of a few months, Kite 9 has gotten to first place. Let that sink in. For secondary weapons, I've used Kunai for 8 years. I beat the entire game with an Excalibur, a Mach 1 Kunai before I found the normal Kunai, not that long afterwards, right? And a Bratton. Okay? Alright? I used the Fulmin a whole bunch at one point. I used the Ignis a lot. Ignis Wraith. I used the Kuval Comb, the Amprex. These are all weapons I just really, really loved and used a whole bunch. But aside from that, the Bratton, the Kunai, and the Excalibur were my most used because I was too stupid to figure out how to do anything else. And to this day, Carrier is still my most used pet by far. Because I didn't know how to do anything else in this game. Carrier is my most used pet. Hands down. Other than that, thank you. See you. Have a good day. I learned a lot of things in this game the hard way. Because the forums and other places are just useful for the same repeated, regurgitated stuff. But I have learned a lot the hard way. And I learned how to make things effective from almost nothing. So, yeah. Banshee is a good Warframe. You just want to steal the spotlight all the time. Try not to steal the spotlight all the time, and you'll probably see how the Warframe Banshee is pretty good. Thank you, see you, have a good day, whatever else, bye. Questions, comments, concerns down below. There's more to say, but I'll leave it like this, though.